Hello and welcome to Randomer Nintendo 74. I'm back, and with me I have the guys who held down the fort. An episode that all of you out there only heard 6 days ago. We're kind of double stacking episodes. It was lost in the sands of time while I was in Italy, but we have to my virtual above me, we have Angel.
What?
And to my virtual below me, I guess, we have Kevin.
I am not a bottom. Okay, listeners, I just want to make that very clear. I'm not a bottom.
You'll notice I didn't say on top or under. I didn't say on top or under. I said above and below as if
I just want to
tower.
I just want to clear the air. Listeners, I'm not a bottom.
I mean, Jason just confirmed it. Canonically, I have the most power. So,
well, while we're clearing the air, so I listened. It works out nicely that we posted these episodes back to back because it'll be fresh in everyone's mind. AK-47 2, fun episode that you guys did. Enjoyed it a lot. We never had an AK-47 1. I just thought I'd let you know. There was never a 1 for the 2 to be the sequel of.
True.
But at one point, Angel said, "Oh, Jason's going to come running with an answer." And I did mentally come running when I heard it. Nintendo blocking Sora from using their characters, and a story coming out that they were taking him to court or something. The story that came out was that Nintendo petitioned the Japanese government to basically put their foot down about IPs being used for generative AI. Nintendo then did the rare thing where they actively, publicly put out a denial on their corporate Twitter account. So they actually haven't stopped Sora from doing Italian Plumber or anything like that. I think Sora and ChatGPT, or OpenAI, I guess, walk that back themselves. So just thought you should know. Yes, at least that's what I'm aware of. Also, at one point, Angel, not to be that guy, I'm going to be that guy. At one point, and I'll ask you how you guys are doing, but at one point you were saying one of the landmarks for you going to San Diego is a road sign that said Oja. Is that what you said it said?
I think so.
Because the name of the city is Ojai. So just thought I'd let you know.
I don't know why I don't see that on my way over.
That's a whole nother question. Well, yeah, actually, why don't you? Maybe it's
Is
where
it
the freeway
before
splits.
or after the boobs?
I believe it's after because it's in San Diego County.
I feel like it's like once you're already getting close to downtown.
That might be it because I don't necessarily get close to downtown.
Yeah, you branch off down the other freeway.
And like I said, like I just couldn't remember like whether it was Ojai or not. I mean, it's OJAI. I just remember as soon as it pops up, it just makes me think of Ojama. So, like, regardless of how it's spelled or pronounced, like, I wasn't going to remember the original name. And then it just became like I just know there's a place I passed by that at least has the letters OJA in its sign at some point.
And listen, I didn't want to be
but it is good
guy.
to know. But it is good to get closure.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be that guy that like I'm gone for an episode. It's been our schedule's a little out of whack. This episode that you guys out there are listening to now is actually off schedule. We're gonna have another episode next week. This is just jammed in the middle. But I didn't want to be that guy that came back and was just like, let me correct you. But I couldn't help myself. So, but it was a fun listen. Interesting thoughts on AI. Interesting thoughts on the LA Metro system. It was weird to not like. I had things I wanted to say. I'm like, oh, but I'm not on the recording. Like I'm so used to just talking to you guys. So I was like, this is weird.
You could have split yourself in there.
Well, no. I only listened to it today. I uploaded it for you guys before I even listened to it. Yeah, so we've been too late. But how have you guys been? I mean, obviously I was gone, but what's new with the two of you?
Kevin?
Only because you're a top. No, nothing new. Just still doing my almost like 250 commutes each way.
How are you not burned out?
Surprisingly, my body is starting to get used to the fact that it's driving about 145 one way and 145 the other way. So it's actually more like a 3-hour commute at the very least.
Yeah.
It's definitely gotten used to it. I'm definitely not. I'll start yawning maybe towards the last like 10 minutes of the drive back. But typically in the mornings I'll have like an energy drink on the way over there, so I don't have that many problems. It's funny what the the whole joke of the boobs going to San Diego has like lost its luster from just seeing them every day.
Now they're just reactors.
Yeah, now they're just something that I see every single day that I go to work, 5 days out of the week. So yeah, but
I'm sorry I'm sorry this ruined it for you.
No.
So
It's not.
it's
not. It was not like a shrine that I was like. It was like a holy trip.
That gave me the extra bit of energy I needed to make that stretch of road.
The pilgrimage.
So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and to follow up, so one thing I recently learned from my listening to the Lonely Island and Seth Meyers podcast, which is a very fun podcast if you're fans of Lonely Island,
Seth
is
Meyers,
they'll just pick
Civilization 5?
Yeah, Sid Meier's Civilization 5 featuring the Lonely Island and Napoleon. They do a thing where they just like assume everyone's heard the last episode. So I'm doing that too. So if you guys don't know out there listening what this is in context to, you're going to have to go listen. Kevin, have you raw dogged yet?
No, I have not. I did say that I was going to, but no, I still haven't. I still have not raw dogged. I definitely can't raw dog on the way back.
The lack of context in this is spectacular.
Yeah, I can't raw dog on the way back. But on the way over there, I think it's possible, because I'm like showered, I've just got some sleep, I'm full of energy. So maybe on the way over there I can raw dog it, but definitely not on the way back.
Yeah.
What happened to our society that raw dogging now is just used in this way? You gotta wonder what's our society is. Anyway, Andrew, what about you? What's been going on? I mean, I just actually saw you.
Was make you wondering about society. I feel like there was
just raw dog,
more questionable things.
Nope, just this.
The last couple weeks.
Nope, just this.
No, I mean, I guess on my end, it's just been just a standard busy week, I guess, since the last time we recorded, but I guess not since the last time we talked to the viewers. I mean, just watch more movies in theaters, so that's probably it of note.
You got A-list.
A-list of what?
You got A-list. It's AMC A-list.
I did.
Yeah, well, you told me you did. So either you're lying to the viewers or you're lying to me. And they're not viewers, come to think of it, they're listeners. There's nothing to
I did say of note. I don't know if that's of note.
I don't know. I think it's of note. Everyone that has A-list brags more about A-list than they should. It's just like a rite of passage.
I haven't brought it up once. I guess people that have A-list bring up the fact that other people have A-list, yeah.
A-listers are the ones that in the Nicole Kidman commercial right before the movie starts, they all recite along with the lines and then clap. Like,
is that the lore?
There's like a complex.
They think they think she's speaking directly to the A-listers.
I guess, or they feel like they're fully indoctrinated in the cult of AMC movie going.
I've just gone to the movies enough times in the last 4 or 5 weeks to finally justify it because I still have like 3 more movies coming up. I have a movie tomorrow, actually. I guess as of this recording, whenever this goes up. Oh, yeah, I guess there's a chance it might be there. But that's just like coincidence.
I'm not like a weather forecast. It's planned. It's not like there's a chance of rain. There's a chance it's going to fall out of the sky.
How do we know that you're not going to be like in a terrible accident on the way over?
I mean, that's fair. That could happen.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Not that we'd wish that on any of us, but I guess, yeah, that could happen. Actually, no, my driving skills have greatly improved after driving a rental car in Italy. I was on the narrowest, most ridiculous little streets. So if I could do that, I'm going to make it to the movie in a big, wide freeway. Don't point out that I am not only one factor and a big rig could crash into me or something. Ignoring that, I will make it to the movie.
Did you do the road that Jordan Schlansky did, or?
No, we didn't do that road. Although we did go past the coffee shop that Jordan took Conan to in Florence. That we were right next to that for a while on a walking tour. I didn't do that, but we did do Tuscany. I did drive country roads on a Vespa. Rode my first Vespa. That was cool. Made pasta, made pizza. Went to the Vatican. Went to Colosseum. Did all the touristy things. Went to Venice and rode a gondola. All the touristy things. But actually, 3 little anecdotes that are kind of Nintendo related that I could share here, and then maybe we get into the meat and potatoes of the episode, the juice of it all. So coincidentally, I found out the day before I flew to Rome that there was a Pokemon pop-up in Rome on the day I landed only. So literally the first thing I did when landing in Italy is check out the finest of Italian culture, the Pokemon pop-up, which turned out to be a 15-minute walk from my Airbnb that we were all staying at. But yeah, like literally overnight flight, 9 a.m., land, go to the Airbnb, drop bags, walk to the Pokemon pop-up. Like that's how I operate. But it was kind of neat. It's for Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket. They took over an event space and basically made it into like an art gallery. So they had different art of the cards on like screens, and they were like doing like the shimmy effect and the rotate and stuff. And then they sort of set up like set pieces for these gallery exhibits. Like, I don't know what to call it, but basically like there's a room that was all like rocks and cactuses and stuff for like kind of like normal and rock types. And then there's a room that was like watery things for water types. And then there's like a grass room, and it had like Oddish's Henway, and they had all of the Pokemon represented outside the artwork as like these custom made plush characters. And then each room there's like a scavenger hunt, and you had to like decode a tablet that had like some writing on it, and you answer a little thing in a booklet. And at the end they give you, you gotta keep the booklet, and then they give you in-game stuff for Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket. So like the whole thing was only like 20, 25 minutes long, maybe, probably equivalent to like an activation at a Comic-Con or something. But it was kind of fun to do it like halfway around the world. I guess as part of this big push, they're doing Pocket and like some Mega Evolution art gallery things kind of like this throughout Europe. But Rome was the only city, and it was the only day that they did specifically just the Pocket art exhibit. Everything else is like a combined thing, and it's slightly different and not as ornate apparently. So that was kind of a fun Nintendo-y thing to do as soon as I landed there, which I did not anticipate doing. One other anecdote, I can't make this up. So third day I'm in Italy, I pop into a grocery store because I was walking and I was thirsty. So I went to get a Powerade or whatever. And the grocery store, I walk in, the first shelf I see is the most Italian shelf you can imagine. It's olive oil, it's wine, it's pasta. Just a shelf of it, all combined on one shelf. And then directly next to it was a full-size cutout of Mario. And I was very confused. It turned out, I think it's called Carrefour or Carefour, but they have a thing going with Nintendo of Europe where if you buy more and more at the grocery store, you like kind of level up like points you collect, and you get more and more Mario dishware. So like you start with a mug, then you get a plate, then you get utensils. But that's why Mario was greeting me at the stereotypical Italian food shelf. But like, I just thought that was kind of funny. Like, what are the odds that they put the stereotypical Italian plumber guy at the stereotypical Italian food shelf at the entrance in the actually Italian store? But yeah, what was my third anecdote? There was a third one. Well, it wasn't really an anecdote, I guess. It just kind of happened when I was there. Did you guys keep up with that whole close to you? I know you did, actually, Angel. That Nintendo, like, they put out that 4-minute video of the baby, the animated video, and then they put out a second one the next day. Now Pikmin are suddenly in it, and then they kind of just didn't do anything with that.
You'd think so. Referring to you saying, I know you kept up with it.
Well, you told me you did in the past.
Well, I mean, I saw the Nintendo video, and that's as far as that went, basically. Like, I never saw it on the Nintendo app. I saw the YouTube video. And then I think after the fact, someone confirmed or told me that, and it indeed was Pikmin. And I think I saw like an image, but didn't rewatch the video because after hearing that and then just remembering the first video, it's like, oh yeah, you could match that up pretty well.
Right.
But yeah, dude, did you? I guess I know of it. I guess that's all.
Kevin, were you caught up in the mystery of it all? I'm sure you were riveted.
Not at all.
Yeah, it was very strange, but the reason I bring it up is like, I mean, Nintendo's always trying to promote the Nintendo Today app, right? And I'll give them credit, it worked. I'm standing in a plaza in Bologna at 3 p.m. Italy time, and my watch goes off, and it just says, like, watch close to you or whatever. I'm like, what is this? And I thought it was like a big, like, megaton Nintendo announcement. So I'm standing in this plaza. I was on a walk by myself. So I'm by myself. My phone is out. I'm on like foreign SIM card watching a baby learn to walk with mystery, imaginary, invisible creatures surrounded by like 1400s, like 15th century medieval towers and brick buildings. And it was just something about it felt very strange. Like, I don't know, like just obviously everyone's somewhere when a notification goes out, but just the juxtaposition of like, oh, big Nintendo news, let me stop what I'm doing in the middle of this weird, not weird, but like old square, and then it ended up being that, and I was more confused coming out of it than I was going into it. Like it was a weird experience, but it's not like one of those, where were you like when Kennedy was shot or something, but it definitely is like a weird. I'm always gonna like pair those two now.
That was too wet too
Jesus
soon.
Christ.
Like, but you know what I mean? Like
Wow,
those things. It's like
Jason.
I didn't say 9/11, but you know what? But like one of those like when those things that you always associate the memory with the place.
Yeah,
Like now I
but-
have this weird connection. Yeah, it wasn't as bad as assassination.
fun.
That's true. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know what that was. I mean, they said it was to announce Nintendo Pictures that they acquired and that they're making their own animations, but they announced Nintendo Pictures like 4 months ago. So I'm not sure. And it's the same studio that previously did the Pikmin shorts that Nintendo put out in like the Wii U days. So I'm not really sure what this was accomplishing. And I'm like, oh, maybe like 2 weeks later they announced, Pikmin 4 is getting a free update that doesn't include Switch 2 enhancements, oddly, but it has like a photo mode and Pikmin Bloom tie-ins, and Pikmin Bloom's getting new stuff, and Decor Pikmin are going to cross between the two now, and that's super cool if you're a Pikmin Bloom player like me. But they didn't even pair that with this. Like they waited just long enough that this was no longer relevant to then do the other Pikmin news. It was weird. I don't know. Don't quite understand what they're doing there. I mean, in general, what they're doing lately, it strikes me as kind of weird. Like even since I've been back, I've been like they had the Sakurai Kirby Air Riders Direct as an hour plus of information. That, Sakurai paces as well, so that was fine. But then like 2 hours after that, a whole bunch of Switch games were announced. So Assassin's Creed Shadows, a System Shock remake, Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, Warhammer, a Bluey game, and Star Wars Outlaws getting a demo, and it's supposed to be a really good port on Switch 2. All those were announced within like a few hours of the Kirby Air Riders Direct. And Nintendo didn't like. They could have done like a mini. I don't know. They're doing. It's cool that we're getting stuff even if it's ports, but it's just so weird how Nintendo's choosing to share things and pick and choose what they share. I don't know. Anyway, that was a tangent. What do you guys want to talk about first? Don't mind me. I could keep going with Nintendo stuff. I have 2 games I watch their impressions of, Pac-Man or Pac-Man and Pokemon. But I see that we have some movies on here. We have some other games on here. We have a TV show on here. Where are you guys feeling like?
I mean, I honestly want to hear your impressions of Pokemon so far because,
Okay.
and I do,
Okay.
and I'm not being facetious or sarcastic or, what's another word that could apply? Some other word.
Okay. You're not
I mean,
being some
it-
word. That's good.
Yeah, like in general, like this game, I find it very interesting. It just seems like I can't read the reception for it like I could other Pokemon games or just other games that,
Well, yeah, it's very
that like everyone I know around me has been playing. There's been either a lot of positive or a lot of negative, and there's been no in between.
Yeah, I mean,
it's anecdotal. Like I've maybe heard like maybe 10-ish impressions from people I know directly, and they've been all over the place. Like I said, some incredibly positive, like, oh my God, this is what I wanted. And others are like, oh my God, like this thing is so handholdy, Jesus Christ. But
it is handholdy at the start for sure. But I do
what
think,
does
I think
Jason think, as someone that likes to have their hand held.
well, I think it is like,
experiences.
I do like to have my hand held. It's true. But, no, I do think the discourse around it's a really interesting part of it before I even get directly to me. Because, like, a lot of people seem to be saying, oh, it's too low effort or it's too low budget on Game Freak's part. And then that wasn't at all help. Like, literally the day before the game came out, there was another Pokemon Company leak, another Game Freak leak, the quote-unquote Terra leak that happened. Did you guys keep up with that at all or follow that at all? Because it kind of skewed some of the discourse
think-
around the game.
You were the one that told me about it.
Right. Kevin, do you know anything about it? The Terra leak?
No.
So, okay, so in a nutshell,
so.
I won't go too deep, but it kind of sets the stage a little here. Because in a nutshell, the Pokemon Company's game release roadmap and some other internal documents were leaked literally like the day before ZA came out. These apparently stemmed from the leak that happened a year ago, and the hacker just kind of like sat on the info for a year, supposedly, or something. But like however we got here, obviously I can't imagine the gut punch this must have been for the Game Freak team. Like, They probably thought they were past this, only to have it happen again. So that's not great. But on the roadmap side, without going too far into it, because like, I feel like it's kind of unfair to the team, but what's out there, you can go look it up online, but essentially we know the next 3 major games that are coming. We know some stuff about Gen 10. We know there's another Legends game, and there's some sort of multi-region spanning MMO sort of thing, although I'm sure there's a catch to that, as exciting as it may sound. I don't want to dive too deep into that because it feels unfair for the folks who are like creating these experiences to not be able to control the time and method of how we learn about those efforts they're doing. But the other piece of the leak that I thought was interesting is, and this one's probably a larger disservice to Game Freak and ties into ZA, the budgets of some of the recent Pokemon games were supposedly leaked, which is definitely fueling a lot of the discourse. So Sword and Shield apparently cost $16 million to make. The first Legends, Arceus. Is it Arceus or Arceus? I always can't decide. It's Arceus, right?
Officially,
Arceus?
it's Arceus. Before the Pokemon app came out, everyone just called it Arceus.
All right, so Arceus.
No one really knew for a while, yeah.
But yeah, so Arceus is apparently would cost $14 million, and Scarlet and Violet jumped up to nearly $22 million, $21.8 to be specific. And without context, that doesn't say much, but people very quickly started comparing them to like other games, right? So like a Call of Duty game, like a Black Ops, typically costs $450 to $700 million. But on PlayStation's like Ghost of games, they have the series of the 2 of them now. They each cost about $60 million. So there's a huge discrepancy here. Obviously, ignoring there's power differences of the platforms. And some are multi-platform, some have more intense online infrastructures and whatever. But, like, there's a discrepancy here that all the folks who are critical of Pokemon of late have very quickly seized onto, especially in light of how well the games are selling. Even this is also kind of hurting ZA's discourse. The early sales numbers for ZA are out. And worldwide, it sold 5.8 million in a week. That's a little slower than the 6.5 million that Arceus sold. It's about half of the 10 million that Scarlet and Violet sold in its first few days. But it's still a very big number. That's a lot. It's the 5th biggest Pokemon game. And according to Circana and Matt Piscatella at Circana, who tracks all this stuff, ZA was the single biggest physical video game release in the U.S. in units and dollars since Tears of the Kingdom in May of 2023. So, I'm saying all this because if you put this all together, that's the headwinds that ZA has been up against and why I think some of the reactions are what they are. I mean, you can judge a game by itself, but there's definitely like a conversation around it because it's a franchise with a growing vocal group of people who already felt that Game Freak wasn't doing enough to keep up with modern gaming. And that's fueled by, the bugginess of Scarlet and Violet and the continued, albeit slightly slowed down, cadence of new releases. And that's now further fueled by these leaked budget numbers contrasting with what other games of the similar sales caliber do and just how well Pokemon sells in general. And then the timing of ZA versus the leak combined with ZA using an existing engine that's already criticized and they're not doing much production-wise to move forward with that engine for the Switch 2 edition. There's a lot of justifiable, arguably, discourse around this game beyond just how the game itself is. So I think that's probably where a lot of that split is coming from, because some people are looking at it at face value, some people are looking at it for one type of experience, some people are looking at it for another type of experience, and then some people are looking at it in this broader context of like, but they don't spend money on the games, it doesn't have voice acting, and like Game Freak's cheap, and blah, 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 blah. So that's probably why this game feels so divided compared to a lot of Pokemon games. But you know what? To answer your question, Angel, I'm having a lot of fun with it. And what I'm liking about it, for lack of a better term perhaps, is the game's personality. Like, it has a very snappy personality in every sense of the word snappy, like literally and figuratively. Like, on the literal side, the game just moves briskly. Like, yes, there's a lot of tutorials, but like, it runs really smooth in the Switch 2 edition. There's like no load times. I usually can't even finish reading the text on the loading screen before it whisks away. And then once you're like past the loading screen, it just runs steady, smooth, good frame rate. Like for a Pokemon game in the 2020s, that's something worth pointing out. But I also mean like the snappiness and how like the gameplay feels. Like there's also that side of it. Like one of the things that Arceus did well was it streamlined a lot of aspects of the Pokemon experience, right? Like right down to how the menu flows and that sort of thing. And even at that small level, there's so many tiny things I'm liking in ZA, like being able to put my cursor on a Pokemon in my party menu, and I just click the stick, and the game will handle figuring out how to fix their ailment as long as I already have the right item in my inventory. I don't have to go find the item. I have to go 3 menus deep. I just click and it does it. Or how, like, yes, you can earn new moves to teach your Pokemon, but you don't lose the other moves. You just go to a menu for that Pokemon, and you can switch around any moves you've gotten or unlocked thus far and pick which 4 you want to assign to them. And, like, switching Pokemon is just as simple, too. Like, the box system, it's there. When you open the menu, it does the traditional little box sound cue as if you're at a Pokemon Center doing it on the PC. But it's just constantly there, and you just drag and drop which Pokemon you want. Like, they just simplified things. It just feels so nice and quick and easy. And to zoom out from, like, those menu flows, I feel like ZA as a whole took the idea of streamlining into real, and they, like, kind of applied it to, like, all the gameplay. And it starts probably even more zoomed out, more macro than just the battle system, which is what they've been promoting as the thing that's heavily changed. I'd argue the literal flow of the Pokemon experience has been made snappier by now jumping you between the core elements of what make Pokemon, like what makes a Pokemon game a Pokemon game. And what I mean by that is, like, okay, so the entirety of ZA is set in Lumos City, right? And story-wise, the idea is that this is a city where Pokemon and humans can live in harmony in an urban environment. It's also a city where all the citizens of the city want to battle each other to work up the ladder of these Z to A ranks. And to achieve these goals, during the day, there are wild areas that appear. These are zoned off parts of the city where you catch Pokemon. And those are followed at night by battle zones, which are zoned off parts of the city where other trainers will challenge you to fight. And you're fighting these other trainers in an attempt for everyone to earn enough challenge points to then go defeat one another in rank battles to up their ranking from Z to A. So ultimately, what you've got here.
So that's what it's called that.
That's why it's called that. So ultimately, what you've got here. Yes.
Is it implied at any point that the citizens' quality of life improves as their rank improves? Or is it just because they just all want to be the best?
There's a separate plot line about the beautification and modernization of Lumos City that big corporation's doing. And that corporation, I believe, is involved with hosting the rank battles. So there's a little
gentrification in my Pokemon game.
Exactly. But there's no, like, direct. It's not like the person lives a better life because they're ranked higher. It's kind of like collecting. Honestly, the rank battles are like the gym battles. It's like collecting badges in normal Pokemon games. But ultimately, what you have here is you've got, like, the mainline Pokemon game gameplay loop of going to catch wild Pokemon and build out your Pokedex and encountering trainers out in the world to beef up your Pokemon, and then these, like, kind of gym battle, gym leader style things. Like, in a normal Pokemon game, those are all intertwined, right? Like, when you leave a city, you go down Route 23 or whatever, and you're doing some Pokemon catching, and then you're doing some trainer battling, and maybe there's some light puzzly exploration in a forest or a cave, and then you get to the next city and you face the gym leader, right? Like, it's all kind of mushed together. In ZA, you've got all those individual elements, but they're remaining, like, individualized, if that makes sense. So when you go to a wild area to catch Pokemon, you are only spending that time in the wild area catching Pokemon. And there are research tasks like catch, X number of grass Pokemon or whatever you can complete when you're in the wild area, but you are catching Pokemon. And then when you're in the battle zone, you are only spending time fighting other trainers. And again, there are special challenges you can complete, like, defeat an opponent using a Pokemon's grass move, and that'll give you extra points to get you to a rank battle faster. And there's like challenge cards that are scattered around in the battle zone that you grab, and they give you the assignment, so to speak. But again, you're just doing battles. Like, in the same way, the little menu changes cut to the chase of what you want to achieve in the menu, and it feels snappier. I feel like the gameplay itself is doing that too. Like, it's just cutting to the chase of what you're doing at that given time. Like, either you're catching or you're battling. And, like, don't get me wrong, you do alternate between them. Like, how it works is wild areas are during the day primarily. They do exist at night, but that's not the focus at night, and battle zones are at night exclusively, and the day-night system moves pretty quick, but it makes everything just feel very streamlined, speedier, again, snappier. Like, it's just, okay, you're doing catching now you're doing battling. Okay, now you're doing catching, now you're doing battling. And I don't know, something about that's kind of nice. It just feels very compartmentalized and focused in a way. Like, you get the essence of all the different things. And I will say sometimes that day-night system can be too speedy, especially if you do explore the rooftops of Lumos City. So that's kind of the other piece of the puzzle, is the entire city has a ground level and it has a rooftop level. And these rooftops are accessible across anything you're doing. They're in the wild areas, they're in the battle zones, they're just out in the world. Like they crisscross. And I'd say these are maybe the most analogous to like the standard Pokemon gameplay loop, because essentially these rooftops are kind of like the little mazes, like the little caves or the forests or whatever. You know, they have certain TMs you need to unlock paths to access new areas of the roof. They have hidden items and nooks and crannies. They have perhaps more interesting or rare Pokemon they can only find on the rooftops. And if, you know, catching wild Pokemon and battling trainers have been forked into these two separate kind of snappier feeling sub-activities, then the rooftop exploration and maybe the ranked battles that are, like I was saying, are kind of like the gym leader equivalents. Those are sort of the glue that kind of hold together everything beyond just the story beats to make it all feel like an interconnected game. But so it's similar to the mainline games. Like, you're doing the same sort of stuff, but it's different in how it's presented. And I'm really kind of digging how the game does that compartmentalization of what would otherwise be gameplay systems just stacked on top of one another. Like, we still get the essence of each aspect of Pokemon. It all just feels, I swear, word of the show here, say it with me, snappier. Like, it just feels like you're like, okay, now I'm catching. Okay, done with that. Now I'm battling. Okay, done with that. Now I'm catching. Like, I don't know. It's neat. It's a neat way they broke it up. I like the loop. And, of course, I'd be remiss to not mention the actually most notable snappier experience that they've been promoting, which is the battle system. That's another thing that just feels a lot streamlined and quicker. And so they switched from turn-based to real-time, as I think you guys know. It is speedier. It is fun. You don't wait for your opponent to strike. You're not limited to any moves, set number of points to use. Like, there's no PP or anything like that. Instead, everything is based on cooldowns, and different moves will take different amounts of time, shorter or longer, to be able to repeat. And there's also now the fact that you're in the battlefield yourself as the trainer, kind of like in Legends Arceus with wild Pokemon. You're there too, so you're at risk of being hurt by what's going on. And it makes for battles where, like, it kind of sounds like suddenly distance is a factor, at least in theory. Like, distance matters because, you know, if you have a short range attack, for example, your Pokemon needs to be able to, like, get up in the face of your opponent. Or if some wild Pokemon are like a rogue mega evolution, which are kind of like the boss fights in this game, if those are attacking you, like, you as a trainer need to be cognizant of your placement on the field and your distance from them. I said in theory because so far the need for me to evade attacks and really weigh like short range versus long range in a way that I would like, kind of weigh different move types. Like, I haven't gotten there yet where it feels like it's really a game changer to how battles work. But the game has brought it up to me multiple times. So I suspect it will become more of a factor as I keep going. But as is, like, it's fun. I keep using this word, but it just feels snappy. Like, it feels like an action game. It's certainly faster. And in a way, they're like kind of a natural evolution, no pun intended, of how Arceus introduced the ability to like spot, walk up, and catch a wild Pokemon. Like, here, you're still taken to a battle screen when you start a battle, but it just feels more organic to where you are and what you're doing, and when it ends, you're back where you were, and it just feels a lot more fluid in a way, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't feel as detached as like the turn-based battles. So nothing's wrong with how mainline Pokemon works. Obviously, I love that too, but as like a companion game or a spin-off to the more traditional Pokemon gameplay of the last decades, like, it's been really, like, ZA's been really fun because it you could feel the DNA of it and like the essence of it, but it's all shaken up in these kind of bite-sized nuggets, which is kind of fun. And I think it's worth noting that, again, I'm overusing the word, but like snappiness here. I was saying this at the top. It's figurative and literal. So like, the game's personality is pretty snappy. Like, there's some pretty funny NPC comments. The story, even though, yes, there's hours of hand-holding tutorials, like, it does move at a pretty decent pace, and everything just gels well with this idea that you're visiting this European city and exploring it. There are cafes, there's a mall, there's clothing shops, there's NPCs who are tourists talking about, like, other regions or cities in the Pokemon world that they're visiting from. There's a museum that ties into other Pokemon games. It all just flows really well together and gives the game, like, a fun personality. And it's a very colloquially, like, modern one, I might add. Like, I've already come across one NPC who was holding up his phone, making weird poses because he was trying to, and I quote, create dances inspired by Pokemon moves, like TikTok, basically. And then in one cutscene, one of the fellow members of the team that you join, Team MZ, wanted someone to spill the tea on something. So it's definitely like a modern personality, but I digress. The game, it's a fun vibe. It's a cool vibe. I'm enjoying it. It's not perfect. There are cracks I'm seeing in the facade as I'm playing. I think the discourse around the game isn't wrong about a lot of things. The sameness of the environments, like the lack of variety because it's all in the city, either rooftops or ground level, that is one thing that's jumped out at me a few times over. Like Game Freak tried to do a nice job of setting up different districts, and they have like a river in one part and different little things like that. Even the wild areas, like those are cleverly like themed around different things you'd find in a city, a city park or a cemetery or like a backyard garden or something. But it's a lot of very similar looking buildings with very similar looking flat textures that kind of just blend together. Like I've accepted this is an up-resed Switch 1 game engine, and it's probably the last legs of this engine, and they'll probably for Gen 10, if the leak is any indication, be creating a new engine. Actually, it's fully from the ground up utilizing the Switch 2. So on principle, like, okay, fine. It's fine that it's the same engine it's been for most of the Switch Pokemon games, but like the buildings all look very similar. They kind of blend together. Like I find myself using the map not because I wasn't sure where to go, but because the landmarks along the way weren't distinct enough to differentiate. Especially if I was on a rooftop, and you can jump down from any rooftop without like taking any damage or anything. And sometimes it feels like I'd land in like back on the ground in one of potentially 3, 4, 5 different identical spots, and I didn't know which one it was. Like I had no idea where it was. It all looked the same. So that's a bit of a issue, and I think some of that can be tied to production values, because they only had X number of textures they were working with. But that also, and they were reusing a lot of assets, but that also brings up the other production issue that people called out, which is the lack of voice acting. Normally, this sort of thing doesn't stand out to me, especially as a Nintendo player. They took forever to get on the voice acting bandwagon. But, like, yeah, the way they animate the cutscenes in ZA is as if there's voice acting. Like, the pacing, the way the text appears, the use of, like, superfluous sound effects like clothing movement, and yet there's no voices. So it just comes off a bit jarring in like modern, in 2025, when even Nintendo's finally embraced voice acting. This just feels kind of out of place. It does become less of an issue as you go further into the game because they kind of swap in more traditional dialogue boxes as you get deeper. But for the fancier cutscenes without the boxes, it's a little odd. It's a little odd. But I do want to add, last thought, that yes, a lot of people are harping on these lackluster production values and tying it into the budget leak and all sorts of things. But for everything that this game is missing, there is like fun attention to detail elsewhere in the game. Like, be mad at Game Freak for business decisions if you want, but don't be mad at what the developers are doing within the confines of what they were told they can do. Like, there's funny writing, there's good callbacks and fan service, there's all sorts of little, flourishes they didn't need to do. Like, there's a whole cafe system where you can go sit at different cafes with your Pokemon, and they'll sit at the table with you, and it's just like kind of a screenshot photo op, but they have like 4 or 5 different cafes.
I haven't heard anyone talk about the cafe feature. Didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's you just get like a coffee or a tea. It's like, a couple $100 Pokebucks or whatever. And then you just sit there and it becomes like a photo op. So you can and they put the Pokemon in the chair next to you. It's kind of like in Arceus where they had like the fashion studio that you could do with your Pokemon and take pictures, or the photo studio. But here it's cafes. So like little things like that. Like the game's personality maybe is making it, or the choices around the game maybe make it easier to criticize in some areas. But the game doesn't have a good personality. It doesn't have charm or care put into it. And implying that like the whole thing's a wash, I feel like is a disservice to the game just because of some of the more noticeable things like the repeating textures and whatnot. So that's kind of where I landed on ZA, at least. Like I'm curious to see how much the divvied up, like snappier but separate gameplay loops, there's like multiple instead of just the one. Like I'm curious how long that'll keep me going. Because it's snappier, it feels like it's almost more pick up and play, which is interesting. Like usually at Pokemon, like when I play the mainline Pokemon game, I'd be like, okay, I need to get to the next city, or I need to do this or next thing. And that didn't necessarily take that long, but like I can do a wild area in like 10 minutes. I could do a battle zone can take you, because the battle system's so fast, you can get all the points you need in like 20 minutes. So like this is a very like pick up and play type of take on Pokemon, which makes me think I might keep playing it longer. We'll see. But between ZA and Arceus before, I definitely am sensing I'm becoming more of a Legends guy than a mainline game guy. I definitely like both games, but I think this has become my preferred lane of Pokemon these days because it does have the essence. It does have a lot of the callbacks and references and sound cues, but everything's just so much like tighter and tidier and just simpler, and Yeah. So I'm excited to see where I go with the game at this point. But that's kind of where I'm at about it. Like I like how they approached it. I like the loops they created, and now it's just a matter of seeing how well it sticks with me going forward.
Yeah, pretty cool. I don't know if I'm gonna get it myself, but I do love the fact that Pokemon is branching off to, just making so many of these, what even they're now considering mainline games, quote unquote. Like, we all have our definitions of or we all have our preferences of how we play Pokemon. And even from the beginning, like, there was one set of core Pokemon games, the colored ones. And even then, people basically played the game like they do Pokemon Go, how they did champions coming out. Like, I basically just did the battling. Some people just did the catching. Some people actually legitimately liked the story. Some people just wanted to breed one specific type of Pokemon and collect them. So the fact they're making like essentially dedicated versions of each of these like lanes is pretty neat. So,
and it is worth knowing there is like if you are someone that prefers catching and like collecting, there is like a deeper level of ZA where they made shiny hunting a little more streamlined as well. So if you want to like get into shinies, it's doable. Like everything about this is just like all the ideas of Pokemon, just like
that's the wrong person and quote unquote. And streamlining it is the devil.
No, I know you're the battle guy. I'm just saying for anyone listening.
No. Like because like for some people, like shiny hunting was only good when it was a pain in the butt, not like when you have all these streamlined bells and whistles. Because like
right. But then you can play the mainline game if you want the deeper shiny hunting.
Yeah,
that's what's kind of nice about it. This is like this feels like what Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee. Like those are supposed to be like not babies first Pokemon, but if you're coming from Pokemon Go and you're not as familiar with the mechanics, here's kind of the bridge. And Legends Arceus and more so Legends ZA kind of feels like, okay, so you learn the mechanics. You played Pokemon Go, then you eased into the mechanics with Let's Go, and maybe you did Scar and Violet a little bit much or a lot at once. Here's like the bite-sized breakdown of all the mechanics, but with enough depth per mechanic to feel like a stepping stone from Let's Go. If that makes sense. So, yeah. It's fun. I'm having a good time with it.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. But I've been talking a lot, so let's switch it up. What'd you say?
It's like worth the $90.
90, it's like 70 for the Switch 2 edition and 60 for the Switch 1 edition. And if you get the Switch 1 edition, it supports the game voucher system, as will Metroid Prime 4 Beyond when it comes out in December. So in theory, you can get the Switch 1 versions with a game voucher, save money that way, and then upgrade to the Switch 2 edition on the eShop for like $10 or whatever. So
you're not really saving money there.
No, I mean you still are, because I think if you were to get Metroid and Pokemon together with a game voucher, you'd save like $30, and then you would buy each upgrade, so you're still saving $10.
Let's say I buy this game, the Switch 1 version of this game. How much is it costing me?
$60.
And then if I want to upgrade to the Switch 2 version, that'd be $10?
I believe.
So how much is the Switch 2 version of ZA?
$70.
So am I saving money there? Or?
No. Only if you do the game voucher discount system that Nintendo has. Like you buy the vouchers that let you, I think you pay $100 for 2 vouchers or something. I don't remember how the vouchers work, but basically if you finagle the voucher system and buy them as Switch 1 games and then digital games and then upgrade digitally to Switch 2, I think you save $10 if you get 2 or more games. Yeah. You have to do some Nintendo math. Yeah. That's the only thing. Yeah. But I talked a lot about a game, and I feel like Angel was chiming in about a game. So, Kevin, you've been a little quiet. Do you want to talk about Disco Elysium, which is a game you've been playing?
Yeah. This one has been a long time coming for me. I've been playing this game on and off for the last, what feels like, 3-4 years, maybe since COVID, quite honestly. I think I've talked to you guys about it, but I don't think I've ever talked about it on the podcast.
You may have briefly when you first started, but I imagine you're much deeper into it now.
Maybe something along the lines of like, oh, I am playing this game.
Yeah.
Getting into it. Do either of you guys know what Disco Elysium is?
I want to say it's a strategy game.
I've seen the splash art, and I know there's dice involved, and a very interesting art style.
Yeah. What did you say, Jason? I'm sorry.
I said in an unnecessarily high pitch that's a strategy game? Question mark.
You are along the right
It's like a strategy
quite.
RPG ish.
It's an isometric RPG.
Okay.
So
Like a normal RPG, like a Fire Emblem or like a Final Fantasy Tactics, or like a traditional term like RPG.
it's more along the lines of RPG, like Western RPGs, more than anything.
Gotcha. Okay.
So think Baldur's Gate, stuff along those lines.
Right.
With an isometric cam. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So this game takes place on a fictional like land, specifically the district of Martinez, in the city of Revachol. And it's sort of this. It's not a like a post-apocalyptic setting or anything like that. It's very European coded for sure, but it's very, very gloomy. But in this town, well, obviously you have a lot of residents there, and everybody has different accents. Every single person in this game has a different accent from the other, which is very interesting. And actually, you actually learn about why that is later on in the game. But the basics are you play as an amnesiac cop who, along with your partner, Kim Kutaragi, you guys have to solve a murder that took place in the hotel room behind the cops' hotel. So you'll run around the town talking to civilians, talking to the residents, while you're also trying to remember who you are and how exactly you lost your memory and how you ended up in the hotel in the first place. It's a very non-traditional RPG in that, yes, you do have health points, and as you finish quests, you'll gain XP and experience points to use on your character. It's not a battle-driven RPG like a Baldur's Gate or, we'll just say Baldur's Gate. This is more of a dialogue and choice-driven game, where the fun of the game really lies in its main mechanic, that being the 24 different attributes that will constantly barge in on your thoughts. So you have 4 main skills. You have your intellect, your psyche, your physique, and your motorics. And then each of those stats have 6 different sub-skills. So, for instance, the intellect category will say, the intellect category holds like your logic and your rhetoric stats, and then your physique will house your pain threshold and your endurance, and so on and so forth. So as you talk to other characters, behind the scenes, the game is always rolling dice. The game will always be rolling a skill check, and depending if that skill check is passed, your inner dialogue based on that roll will start talking. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think. Basically, there's an element of chance to everything that's happening all the time, essentially.
Correct.
It sounds like.
But specifically for your 24 attributes. So if you're talking to a character in the back end of the game, it's rolling dice for all 24 of those attributes. Or I believe this is how it works. It's rolling dice for all 24 of those attributes, and depending on which ones you are actually successful, you will then get new dialogue based on whatever you want.
Interesting. So if you were to do some math I don't want to do, there's technically hundreds of ways things can pan out depending on the combination of the 24 attributes.
Correct.
That are rolled. That's right. That replayability is crazy.
Yeah,
if that's the case. Wow.
Yeah, and then at the beginning of the game, you can it'll say, "Hey, what kind of cop do you want to be?" As a matter of fact, that's the tagline of the game. But you can choose from 3 different pre-builds, or you can make one your own. So it definitely adds
interesting
some replayability to the game.
That's kind of strikes me as a little roguelike-ish in terms of the fact that they want. It sounds like they basically are building it in a way that they want you to keep going back.
Yeah, and there's definitely different routes that you can take. So like I said, if you're talking to a character and your logic skill check is passed, then the logical side of your mind will begin speaking, and maybe your shivers, which is one of your physical stuff, shivers, and each of these subcategories have a specific description of what they are. So shivers is the shiver that you get down your spine when somebody's speaking to you and they speak to you in a certain way, and you get cold or whatever,
Do you feel like you have it sounds like a lot of it's left to chance, so do you feel like you're in control of the game, or are you kind of just more along for the ride? Like, is it? You know what I mean?
So you are. It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Where not necessarily do you need to pass all these skill checks, especially when you're talking to characters or when you're speaking to yourself. Quite honestly, because sometimes these sub skills will either try to help you on your next choice of dialogue, or it may lead you choosing the wrong thing to do or say. But most of the dialogue, it's almost like added flavoring to the dialogue trees, right? So if you notice something, if like your if one of your intellect stats is raised up, your character will say, "Hey, you noticed something on this person's shirt. Why don't you tell them? Why don't you ask them about it?" So that will unlock a dialogue path that maybe you didn't have if you invested everything else in like your motorics.
Right. That's an interesting way to take like a skill tree that's normally set for in RPGs, for like just move sets essentially, and pivoting it over to dialogue. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and then on top of that, there will actually be some skill checks around town for like either specific dialogue or specific actions that can be retried if you fail them, but you'll have to put points back into that skill to be able to retry it. So for one instance, I tried to like run through a door and I failed. So what I had to do is I had to level up my character and then put that skill point into that sub skill to then be able to try that one more time. And the second time around, I was able to pass that skill check. But there are some skill checks that you absolutely cannot retry, which I'll get to a little bit later. So this is a mystery. This is like I said, you're playing a cop, but the game is not dry at all. It's like one of the funniest games I've ever played in my entire life. There are a lot of lines in this game that make me bust out laughing. And there's like scenarios that just make me like question what exactly is the deal with this game because of how ridiculous some of the things that happen are. One of my favorite earlier scenes takes place in the office of like this business magnate who insists that you sit in the chair that's right across from him. So I said, screw it, I'll sit in the chair. But because the chair was so uncomfortable, I lost a health point. And because I had no health items to recover, I got a game over because of how uncomfortable the chair was.
Wow.
There is this little prick of a character behind the hotel that you can talk to. And after like dealing with him, I tried punching him. I missed the skill check. The kid then began to roast me, and I lost a morale point, which caused me to die from embarrassment. Like, right from the get-go of the game.
There's a tongue-in-cheekness to this whole game, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And not only that, but like some of your inner dialogues will, like I said, they'll try to lead you down the wrong road, but in like the funniest way where like your physicality will tell you, no, screw that. Why don't you try to punch this lady instead? And so there's a lot, and like sometimes your inner monologue can like just fight between itself. It's really funny. Which brings us to like another mechanic that's very fun. It's called the Thought Cabinet, which acts as sort of like this game's classes. As you unlock them, you'll equip them, and typically they'll give you some debuffs. But after a few hours of having them equipped, you'll fully visualize these thoughts, which will then give you bonuses. So like one of the earlier ones that you unlock is called Hobocop, where you'll take a hit to your composure, but once you like fully visualize it, you regain your composure, but you'll also make more money when you turn in like glass bottles to change for money, and you'll also be able to sell plastic instead of just glass. Like there's another thought cabinet that I just recently unlocked called the Anti-Object Task Force, which I unlocked after hitting way too many inanimate objects because I'm going for a physicality build this time. Which then after a while finally raised like my physicality. There's just like some ridiculous things that you can try to do in this game. There's a door that I can't open because it's like Disco Elysium. I don't know. I just like the option is talk to the door to open it, but my rhetoric is so low that I just can't do that skill check. It's like impossible for me to beat it. I don't know. It's just like a super funny game. It's super engaging. Like the mystery of who killed this person behind the hotel. It's like it's actually like really riveting. The entire presentation I think is great. It's fully voice acted, unlike some games with bigger budgets that make billions of dollars that we talk about on this podcast.
That maybe go from Z to A.
Exactly. The arts, like Angel mentioned, it's incredible. The music is so good. The writing is fantastic. Like, it's a very niche game, but it's so incredible. And like, I see why this game won so many awards back when it was released. The developers, Zaum, I think is how you say it, have been going through some stuff, through some like turmoil. Like the main force behind Disco Elysium is no longer there working at that company. They almost got like ousted. But they are releasing a new game called Zero Parades, which looks incredible. Which, it's like, man, do I really want to support the company that like threw out the visionaries behind this almost like perfect game? The answer is yes, because I'm soulless like that. But yeah, I'm super excited for that game, and I'm really excited to like get to the end of this game. Because as soon as I do, I'm probably gonna start a new run. By putting like everything into my intellect and rather than my physicality. The replay value is there for sure, and it's on Switch. So
yes, it is.
Switch owners can play this game,
and Switch 2 owners because they're all backwards compatible.
That too. Yeah. So,
yeah, it's like
Disco Elysium.
Well, what did they call it? Like a director's cut? Did you say? Or
it's called.
It has a subtitle. Yeah.
The final cut, which is it's the final cut. This is where they added the voice acting for the game. Yeah.
I didn't realize it was such like a comedic, self-aware game. Like, I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I had no idea it was that. That's cool. That's fun.
Yeah, like one of my favorite things is like you have to cross a bridge and the skinhead is right in the middle. And so there's a couple of options that you can take. Because I took the physicality build, I was able just to like punch him and then roundhouse kick him to get past the bridge. But in a run that I tried previous to this one, you could actually like listen to him and listen to his like skinhead like supremacist rhetoric, and then he'll allow you to go past. But then your partner, who is sort of like an Asian in this game, will think less of you. So I don't know. I just think it's really, really funny.
Yeah, it's interesting they even like give that option, but then like, but here are the consequences. Yeah, that's kind of fun.
So it's so good. I love this game.
Nice. Yeah, I think when you first mentioned that podcast, it wasn't passing because I didn't realize the depth of it till now from this conversation. So, very cool. I think just our episode topics divide very nicely into games and not games. So maybe we just get the games out of the way and then we switch over to movies and shows. So I'm going to real quick, if it's cool with you guys, talk about Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac.
That sounds like a superb idea.
Thank you. I thought it was splendid myself. But yeah, so this should be these should be pretty breezy impressions because I mean the game's at the end of the day it's a remake of a pretty straightforward early 2000s platformer. I was playing on the plane to Italy, and it's a game that I used to rent all the time from Blockbuster, and I never bought, but I had very fond nostalgia for it, and was excited to finally actually like own the game after so many rentals. I didn't even have a GameCube memory card for a long time, so I would just play the same couple of worlds over and over. And it's interesting because in the past we've talked about how when like going back to some GameCube games or games of that era or similar eras, there's almost like a rose-tinted glasses effect caused by the nostalgia. Like you remember the games looking better than they actually do. Luigi's Mansion, the original, being one that I know we've cited before as an example of this. And maybe that's something people will be experiencing to a degree this week because it turns out Luigi's Mansion is joining Switch Online on Switch 2 this week, although now it's outputting in HD, I think. So maybe not. Maybe they won't have the quite lack of rose-tinted glasses. But right out the gate, what's neat about Re-Pac is that the game basically does the rose-tinted glasses for real. Like, it's very clean looking. It's very crisp looking. I mean, the game still has like some pretty simple geometry, if you will. I mean, Pac-Man's literally a ball, as are all his Pac buddies, but it just looks really nice. And as I think is also worth pointing out, it sounds really nice. Like this, we were talking about some games that had big budgets and big profits, but don't have necessarily high production. But Pac-Man Re-Pac has voice acting that Pokemon doesn't. Disco Elysium has voice acting that Pokemon doesn't. But anyway, they added to Pac-Man World 2 voice acting that wasn't in the original game. The voice actor for Pac-Man didn't join until Pac-Man World 3, but here he is in 2. And sure, like the script is nothing to write home about. It's a pretty standard bad guy steals objects. In this case, it's golden fruit, and you need to get them back to save Pac Village. But, you know, the voice acting and the whole like Saturday morning cartoon vibes give the game a good balance between like nostalgia and still being kind of modern now that it's voice acting. But really where I think it shines is the gameplay itself. Again, nice mix of nostalgic and modern. So like any classic 3D platform, you're going between different worlds, each with a handful of levels. Then you face a boss. The level design for this, I don't know if you guys have ever played a Pac-Man World game, but the level design is somewhere between maybe like Crash Bandicoot, and it's like straightforward paths. And perhaps at times a bit of a slight openness of like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, kind of. And Pac-Man has a whole arsenal, like any good platformer, you know, he has a whole arsenal of moves at his disposal. He has a butt bounce that works like a hybrid of Mario's like triple jump and butt stomp. He has a rev roll that's sort of like Sonic Spin Dash, but shorter. And he has the ability to throw pellets he collects. And collecting is a huge part of this game across the board. In true Pac-Man fashion, every level has different fruit that you need to collect, just like in the classic mazes. There's usually 6 to 8 of each per stage. Plus there are pellets to get, and there are little Galaga ship-looking keys hidden away. And if you find those, you can unlock mazes elsewhere in the game. So it's a lot of stuff to find. And while the levels are fairly linear, finding all those things isn't as linear. There's definitely been times I've had to circle back to get things because, you know, especially the maze unlocks are pretty well hidden, even though the levels do follow a pretty set path. But beyond just the moves I mentioned, one thing the game does well is offer a lot of variety outside of those base moves. You know, like any good I keep saying like any good platform, but Pac-Man World 2 is a good platformer. You know, they focus on different moves for different worlds. So like the second world, it's a lot of focus on his butt bounce ability. You're butt bouncing off a lot of like midair trampolines, for example. And then each boss of each world kind of leans on a different ability that Pac-Man has. And you kind of, you know, focus on that as you fight them. But they also introduce environmental-based moves. Like one of the worlds is an ice world, and you have a pair of ice skates in one level for kind of a fun riff on like an auto-scrolling level. Or actually before that level even, there's a riff on an auto-scrolling level where you're running into the screen trying to stay ahead of huge avalanches. That's kind of fun. And they also have transformations you can do to Pac-Man. You can like make him mini by getting eating a certain pellet. You go into nooks and crannies to get hidden fruit or items. And then every stage has at least one instance of a mini recreation of a classic Pac-Man maze, ghosts and all, where you grab a power pellet, you turn into a big round Pac-Man that behaves kind of like giving Mario a star, and you just need to chomp at all 4 ghosts within a set time frame. So there's also that little like nudge to or wink and nod at the original game. All this is to say, the base game, the original Pac-Man World 2, had a lot on tap as it was. It was fun, it was varied, but then Bandai Namco for Re-Pac didn't just stop there. They added time trials to every stage with an online leaderboard. They added missions to every stage where you can do 3 varying goals, like get all the fruit, defeat all the enemies, not die, what have you. And if you do those, you get like a gachapon figurine that you can display around Pac Village. Again, very Kirby and the Forgotten Land of them. Just like how Kirby, you know, in the town, you can put your figurines. Something about these round characters. They stick together with their gameplay ideas, I guess. But yeah, it all adds up to just a lot of content and a really solid package for only like $30. And on top of that, there's DLC coming down the pipe as well. They're actually doing a Sonic crossover. I'm looking forward to this. They're doing a Sonic crossover where they're recreating Green Hill Zone and 1 or 2 other Sonic levels in the Pac-Man World 2 engine. And then you're going through it as Pac-Man, but you're wearing a little Sonic hat. So it's like kind of Sonic, but kind of Pac-Man. But I'm very intrigued to play that. And I think really the whole thing, it all just goes back to what I was saying about like the rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia. Like I had very fond memories of the original Pac-Man World 2, and I've been wanting a remake basically since they opened the idea or the door to the idea, I should say, by announcing the World 1 remake. I mean, I literally bought World 1 because of my nostalgia for World 2. So you do have Re-Pac look nice, play nice, deliver on nostalgia, look so clean while doing it, add extra gameplay hooks, have more to come with DLC in the coming months. Like, I don't think I could have asked for a better way for them to like reintroduce Pac-Man World 2. So I've been quite happy with that game as well. I've been 2 for 2 with my Switch 2 games lately. So yeah, that's Pac-Man. If you're looking for just a good platformer, it's a good platformer. But yeah, that's Pac-Man. And on our last game-related topic, Angel, I don't know what you're gonna say, but you just wrote Switch 2 operating system. So what's up? Is it good? Is it bad?
First of all, why did you assume that was me?
Well, we established it was you before we recorded, remember?
That was not established.
Joke's on you. I did buy a Switch 2 while you were gone in Italy. And I'm
Wait,
having
you
to
did?
Switch 2 OS.
I've been bamboozled. Wait, really? Ah, what a fool I am. So,
as a matter of fact, you're such a buffoon that was a lie. Angel did put it because I did not buy a Switch 2
oh my
while
God,
you were
it
gone.
goes so deep. It's Inception.
Bamboozled.
That's what she said. All right, Angel, take it away.
All right. So Switch 2 OS, why is it still the same after, like, why is there not really a difference except for, what, the game chat icon being there? Actually, no, that wasn't me. I'm sorry.
What? I'm so confused.
I mean, yeah, we could just talk about it. I mean, it's on the docket.
Why? Okay, first let's walk this back. Who put it on the docket?
I definitely didn't put it on.
Okay, and I didn't put it on.
Wait, really? Really?
I didn't put it on.
I'm almost like certain I did not put Switch 2 OS on the docket.
I like how you're saying there's a
I did
slight
not.
chance that
I would never. Well, I wouldn't say never, but like this is definitely like the most Jason-y topic.
But I have
And
nothing
Kevin,
to say.
actually.
I said it when it came out.
Then why is it there? I mean, do we have any? I mean, it's already there. So like, does anyone have anything to say about the Switch 2 OS as it stands now? I mean, I
Not
wish.
necessarily. I don't have anything
Game
to say
chat's
about
great.
it.
I like game chat.
I mean,
This is the weird.
if we
Okay,
talk about
so
the
to the
OS
ghosts
itself,
of-
like,
Yeah.
I like that it's still snappy. Sure, I like that there basically isn't really a difference between this and the Switch 1 OS, just like, on basic aesthetics. But
There's different sound effects and there's a shinier icon indicator, like the little circle that's
Like, honestly, like, I don't even really
into it.
I don't necessarily mind that we don't have themes. Themes are really nice. Like, I love them I still love them on 3DS, but I think the only thing I would like is just more organizational options. But at the same time, like, the getting auto-sorted by what you last played has been by far the most convenient thing. Like, there have been very, very few times when that hasn't been the case, outside of like, it's now that the Switch 1 has been a thing for how many
A
years?
decade. Like
Really?
9 years going on 10.
Wow. Yeah, like we've definitely reached a point, or at the very least, like with my
Oh no,
console,
sorry.
where
It's entering the 9th year. Like 2027 will be 10 years. March 2027.
yeah, like they did add categories, but I wish there was a better way of accessing them than having to either scroll all the way to the right and then hit the plus, or scroll to the left and then hit the plus. Like, I just wish there was a shortcut that didn't require me to do 2 to 3 extra clicks. Actually, even more, because you have to go to the right, hit the plus, and then click on the category you created. Just because I have like 50 plus apps on my Switch, or probably more, that we sometimes rotate between, and sometimes we do want to dig for a very specific Jackbox game, and sometimes it's just like, it can be annoying, especially if I didn't put
May
that
I
game in one of
interrupt
those
for a
folders.
quick second? Are you saying this all off the cuff because it's randomly on the docket, or were these thoughts you already had?
No,
and
this is off the
I've been
cuff.
bamboozled?
I didn't put it on there.
Do you think?
Are you sure that you didn't put it? How did that end up in the
I
document?
am
So
sure.
when
it is
when the
possible
Switch
that
2 launched, we
is
had this as a
possible
line
that-
item.
That's like
There's
should have
no way
always
it's been
been on the
there.
game, and we just never deleted
no way
it.
it's been there. There's
No,
no way.
it
There's
hasn't.
no way.
It hasn't been there. My theory is inside baseball for the listeners, we have a shared Apple Notes app note that we do the outline on, and we all contribute to it. And sometimes Apple Notes is a little funky. And my guess is something happened with the Apple Note, and it randomly brought back an old line item.
In the middle of its thinking, it got so confused, it took it back to like,
Yeah,
what is
quite
it?
possibly. Yeah,
I
That might have been it.
Because
I think
honestly
iOS
thought, like,
had
I was
thoughts
so
about
convinced
Switch
that
OS.
it was you, Kevin,
And it's
because of how
trying
you were playing off the, like, I didn't put it on there. I'm like, oh, okay, he must have, like, something to say about it. And then I thought it was maybe Jason. I thought, like, for sure it was Kevin, then Jason. And then,
I got
you
nothing.
know,
Yeah.
I mean, if you push hard enough, like, I could find something to say. But
Apple Intelligent. Hey Siri, tell us what you think of Switch 2 OS. I feel like that's where we're at right now. Clearly,
Well-
iOS has a mind of its own about it. It probably wants to say how much better it is. And you know what? iOS is like,
Give me
everyone's
a
giving me crap
shortcut.
for Liquid Glass, but you know what? I have thoughts on Switch's OS. That's what's happening.
yeah, well, like I said, give me a shortcut and redesign the Nintendo Switch Online app icon. And that's
Yes, actually, yes. If they can make that icon, they won't, because it's purposely like that to stand out and be an upsell.
it feels
But-
like a
and-
sticker that goes on like the packaging of something that shouldn't be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's never going to change for
I wish I could customize those.
psychology
Like-
reasons, but it should.
Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind like digging for that menu inside of another menu if it meant that it didn't have to be on the main screen. But
That works against Nintendo's goal of getting you to subscribe. So, you know what? Actually, I'm
to
going to give
Nintendo
Switch
going
OS a
have it
shout
your
out.
way. Actually, they never said, huh?
They never said that. That was Burger King. I'm gonna give Nintendo a shout
I
out.
thought it was
Did you
who
know
are
if-
you? Or I guess they start not asking be you, I guess.
They're not saying be you. They're saying who are you, so they can then say conform to us. I'm gonna give Nintendo a shout out since we're talking about
This
the
is
Switch
how I
2
game.
OS.
I'm a gamer.
So if you go and hit that sticker icon, the Switch Online icon, and then you go browse the classics library through the Switch Online menu, not going to the GameCube app, the N64 app, the Super Nintendo app, but you go to the Unified Classics section of Switch Online. It is actually a quicker way, theoretically, to launch any of the games. And if you open the games through that interface, it will go straight to that game in the respective app. I don't know if you knew that. I recently discovered that.
Did not know that.
Yeah, so if you don't want to have like to hunt down, well, I haven't played an NES game in like 6 months. If you go Switch Online, you just browse the NES section. You can pick any of them and load them right up. It also, I think, might work with Switch One. So check that out, dear listeners. And with that, let's transition from games to things that our eyeballs did instead of our hands. Movies.
Do our elbows not do anything with games?
I guess they still do. Movies. Yeah, I realize that made no sense. I'd say I'll blame the jet lag, but I've been
Jason,
back for 12
everybody.
days. I can't blame the jet lag. Let's start with, how about Kevin? Do you want to talk? This is actually number one movie in the country. if I'm not
Start.
mistaken.
No, let's start with GKIDS Palooza.
Okay, not the number one movie yet. All right, so Angel, you have a whole bucket. You have, and one of them's called Angel's Egg. So we're gonna call you. This is your eggs. Your eggs. Tell us about your eggs.
They've been good. They've been hatching one by one. They've been bearing fruit. Not
You
something
could
get from
say that
eggs.
seeing each movie was you hatching the experience. I don't know. Just G Kids. You put just a bucket of G Kids movies.
Excellent. So yeah, like it makes sense to just put them in the bucket because some of these movies I still highly recommend and don't want to say too much about because the less you know, the better. But in general, and I touched on this during my trip, after my trip to Japan, but I've essentially fully embraced the fact that I do love going to the theater. I do get rowdy movie patrons. Thankfully, I haven't knock on wood. There we go, found some wood. Haven't been enough of a nuisance for me to completely abandon theaters like I know some people. No one here, but it's been unfortunate that they've just had really bad experiences. Maybe if anything, it's been more concerts, but that's more neither here nor there. But point is, embracing movies and making time to go to movies, which has been incredibly rewarding. I've watched 3 to 4. Yeah, I've watched a movie a week for the past month. Like I may have mentioned in the last episode, AK-47.
I can confirm you did not mention that since I just listened to it 3 hours ago.
Oh, okay. But yeah, but
Could have sworn you did.
Maybe he did, actually. Now, the jig is up. Did I even listen? Who knows?
Well, we definitely talked about Demon Slayer, the movie, at some point, right?
You talked about seeing it, yes.
Okay.
And
So-
you did talk
Yeah, you didn't
about
talk about the
seeing
movie
it-
itself. You
yeah.
just talked about seeing it. Yeah.
About seeing it
Well,
with subtitles this time.
Yeah. And I don't recall you saying, like, you go to movies more, but I do recall you saying you saw it with subtitles and you had the deeper context of the movie having now had the subtitles.
Yeah, so that was kind of like the first in actually, wow, not even. These are just like the first ones that I bought. But yeah, like I think right when I came back from Japan, almost immediately I went to watch a 4K restoration of Shin Godzilla. A couple weeks later, we saw the screening of the Ninja Turtles movie, which you know we did mention and how great the suits still look. Then a couple weeks later, like I guess did talk about, I watched Demon Slayer still in Japanese, but this time with subtitles, getting more context. It was great. And since then, and I'm pretty sure since our last episode, I've watched Girl That Led Through Time. I forget the name of the director, but they also did Summer Wars and Wolf Children. But very interesting take on time travel. Really enjoyed it. Probably some of the most intense, not slapstick, but like, I guess the way people get injured, whether it's from falling or a ball hitting them in the face, like these felt the most painful, which is kind of weird. Like just something that really stood out. I don't know if it was more like the sound design or just the animation itself, or maybe just a combination, but it sold some of those falls really well that like I feel like I winced like at least during one of them or most of them. But really fun movie. Definitely recommend it. It's an old one too, but you know it got a re-release and I'm sure it's available in a streaming service somewhere. Then immediately after that, I watched Perfect Blue, oh my god, Satoshi Kon movie.
Satoshi Kon.
Yeah, like usually I would say most people know him for either an anime, a short series named Paranoia Agent, or Paprika.
He did Paranoia Agent?
He did.
What? I love Paranoia Agent.
Damn.
Well, I guess we know someone who didn't know him from Paranoia Agent. Contrary to
Well,
what you just said.
Well, they know the work probably. Like those are. I feel like most people have seen either Paranoia Agent or Paprika. Sometimes not like both. But yeah, Perfect Blue was his first theatrical release. Really interesting movie.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah, like it goes in directions like that you expect and don't expect. It preys on the viewing experience, and it's a roller coaster, and it's definitely worth checking out. Especially, and even if you've seen his other work, like you may still be surprised. I think it's one of the few movies that I could say, like, genuinely surprised me. Like actually surprised, as in like, oh, I didn't see certain aspects of this coming at all. Even if like I typically try not to assume or actively figure out the movie as I'm watching it. You know, sometimes you can't help it and something pops up and you're just like, oh, that's this. You know, like some stuff is just intuitive, but this movie almost preys on you or anticipates that you will think some things and then goes another direction. Or maybe doesn't. You never know. But then after that, I watched a movie called 100 Meters, which is an anime film. Oh man, I know I said I was gonna watch this movie when we last chatted on the podcast because you, Kevin, told me that the director was someone, I guess, of note, or at the very least, you told me to check out something else they did.
Not the director, but the writer of it is the writer of another manga called Orb on the Movements of Earth.
Damn, that already sounds pretty intense. I haven't heard of that one. Yeah, the
25
director...
episodes. It's on Netflix. It looks beautiful.
Oh, damn. But yeah, I know the director did a movie. I haven't seen it yet called Ongaku Our Sound. It has like a character that looks kind of like One Punch Man, but a little more cartoony, but yeah, it's just about music. But this was another great movie that I didn't really expect to watch. But because these are all these movies that I've mentioned, at least all the anime ones or the Japanese ones, were only screening for 3 days, and they're typically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they only have one screening on each of those days, and only one of those days it's in Japanese. The other 2 days are like typically English with, English dubbed with. Oh, that's just English dubbed, and the other one is Japanese with English subtitles. I don't necessarily have anything against the English ones. I'll watch it if that's the only option. But typically, no matter what country the movie's from, I just prefer to watch things in their native language. Just kind of helps with immersion. Especially if the movie takes place in the country that they're from. But 100 Meters was great. It's about track and field. And I guess like on a deeper level about like why do you pursue your passions or what it is about them? Like why do you try so hard at things? It tries to answer that question, and I think it does a good job. And then I think it was at that point when I had like basically 4 or 5 movies under the belt in about a month, and then 3 more in the queue that I was like, I should just get A-list at this point, just because.
See, every A-lister comes around and brags about having A-list.
This is not really a
one
brag.
episode. You
I'm
got
not,
that.
I'm
You
definitely
got
not saying
that.
it. No, this is not a brag at all. This is just more like being sensible. Because if I do plan on going to do the movies as often as I am now, even if some of these special screenings will not count towards the discount, at the very least, I definitely would have saved enough on convenience fees that that would have made it worth it. And on top of just saving money here and there, because some of these Japanese movies are getting wide releases, that does make them qualify at that point for your quote unquote free movie. But, some of these other ones don't. Like Angel's Egg probably won't count for that because it's one of those special screenings. And neither will All You Need Is Kill, which, if that doesn't ring a bell, this is the anime movie adaptation of the manga that was adapted many years back.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, that one. I keep forgetting like the two titles.
I like Edge of Tomorrow.
Live Die Repeat, Tom Cruise. So if you're curious about the source material and you don't want to read it, this is your best option. But this is coming out like in January, so still got to watch on that one.
Emily Blunt doesn't get a shout out for Edge of Tomorrow. Only Tom Cruise.
Who?
She's in it too. Emily Blunt. She plays opposite Tom Cruise.
To be blunt, I honestly don't know who you're talking about.
Wow.
Was she in anything I would know? Are you a big fan of hers?
Mary Poppins Returns. She was Mary Poppins.
She was Mary Poppins?
In Mary Poppins Returns. Not in the original.
She's not Julie Andrews. She's Emily Blunt.
That was that like the I'm like, what the heck? I don't remember.
She was young Mary. She was young Mary Poppins.
Yeah, I remember her looking like not that much older or younger than Tom Cruise. I honestly have no idea.
No. Again, the new Mary Poppins, not the old Mary.
Yeah. That was a surprise. I forgot there was a Mary Poppins Returns, so that still didn't really help. But I guess I now remember that did exist.
She's also married to John Krasinski.
Yep. Oh, so she's in A Quiet Place.
Yep.
Yes, okay. That's right.
Yep.
Could have said that. But
I prefer the Mary Poppins route we went down. That was more fun.
Absolutely forgot that she was in that.
Wow. Well, yeah, no Emily Blunt in that one as far as I can tell. Unless she voices her equivalent character. And to kind of go a little backwards, Angel's Egg premieres in the middle of next month. And that one's also, well, actually, no, not also. It's a movie from the 80s that never premiered here. I believe directed by a person that did Ghost in the Shell with art by Amano.
What's this guy's obsession? Eggs and shells, and do all his movies involve egg-related things?
Maybe just those two. I don't know.
Okay.
two things. I mean, I guess it's a pattern, but
2 is already a pattern. Yeah, 2 is one too many, one could say.
yeah. And also, notably, the art director is Amano, which many people know him for the very fantastical early key art for Final Fantasy games. And apparently, this game was also a big influence for your very dark gothic horror kind of stuff, like I don't know, Dark Souls, Demon Souls. Apparently, that was a comp, but it just looked interesting. It honestly doesn't look like a movie that a ton of people would enjoy. It looks, like it might be on the slow side, but yeah, it just looked interesting. And I am just willing and excited to check these out. And in between there, like this week actually, tomorrow we're watching Good Fortune, where Keanu Reeves becomes an angel. And on Friday, I'm also checking out the screening of Back to the Future because it's coming to theaters and I have not seen it in theaters. Definitely love the fact that a lot of movies, that I missed out on are that I get to watch in theaters. In theater, like, Transformers, 1984 one, or 87. Love that I got to see that in theaters. So many Godzilla movies have been getting re-released in theaters, and especially the Ghibli films. You can always count on them for a couple months straight through Ghibli Fest. Next year, I will definitely catch the screening of Grave of the Fireflies. I missed it this year, but, maybe next year. And, yeah, that's the GKIDS Palooza. Love that they're just kind of going ham on screenings. Hopefully, pricing stuff stays fine. I don't know. I remember seeing something on the news about, I guess, the importing fee for foreign films is going to go up because that's what's happening. I don't know. But, hopefully
Trump wants to put a tariff on any movie not made in America, which is every movie. So,
damn.
Yeah, that's what that was.
Well, keep them coming. I'll keep watching them. It's fun. It's a nice way to distract, and also just like bonding time with like the siblings when it makes sense. So either kills time in traffic after work, or I get to hang out with my brother and sister, or watch movies with good friend Kevin. But yeah,
and me. You're literally seeing Good Fortune with me tomorrow. But okay,
good friend Kevin.
Okay,
good friend. Angel.
Well, speaking of Kevin, you saw Chainsaw Man, #1 movie in America.
Yes, I saw Chainsaw Man, the movie Reze arc with good old Angel here.
Yeah,
we saw it.
I'm glad Friday. You guys are having such good bonding time together.
We saw it Friday in IMAX. Which asterisk, the Norwalk IMAX. I don't think it's worth it, Angel.
Is it a Limax or an IMAX? Like, is it a real IMAX or is it okay? Yeah,
I feel like it's a Limax. I don't know how you feel about it, Angel.
To be perfectly honest, like, I can barely tell the difference between screens. Like, it just feels all relative. Like, I am
we
perfectly
have to educate you.
Like, I am perfectly content like watching a movie anywhere. Like, typically, I'll leave it to my brother if he really wants to watch something in IMAX, laser, whatever. The only thing that I would maybe go out of my way for is 3D and 4DX, but neither of those typically care about the screen size.
We have to educate you.
But when it comes to screen size, like, I could honestly care less. Like,
it was really funny.
It doesn't really make a difference.
When we sat down in our seats, Elvis looked at me and he goes, "Is this an IMAX?" I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Doesn't feel like it." And I was like, "Yeah, no, it doesn't feel like it at all." We got to take you to the Irvine Spectrum, Angel.
The Spectrum's the biggest one in the area.
Is it actually gonna like make the movie better because it's on a bigger screen?
Yes, because it's not just the screen; it's also the sound. It's also the projector quality.
It's
these days, laser
I'll give you projector quality, but like,
let me put it this way:
projectors either like really suck, or because they're just really dim, or they're just fine, and the movie just is fine.
Angel, like Irvine Spectrum,
it feels like we're splitting hairs between like 30 frames and 60 frames per second.
No. This is more noticeable than that.
Angel,
I saw Dark Knight in
Irvine Spectrum has you walk through a corridor to get to the screen.
So like does the Century City one, kind of. It's a small corridor, but it's a corridor.
It's not like it's not like that blue, like IMAX.
The only
lit,
time, the only time,
although
the
they
side
turned
of
it red for Tron.
the only time the side of the screen actually makes me go like, "Whoa!" I can actually tell that the screen is this big is during like the IMAX bumper where it's doing the countdown with the numbers and they're like flying through you.
Oh, Angel, you need to see movies that are made for IMAX that use the whole screen. That's the issue. And you need to see it in real IMAX.
And I'm pretty sure I'm
I
still
don't agree
like,
with that.
yeah, it's still the same movie.
No,
I
literally
Jason,
not
I
the same
disagree with you
movie.
there. I
With
disagree
me?
with you there. I did not have to see Oppenheimer in that one way that we watched it. It literally had
Don't
Okay,
give me
I
none
should-
of
I should
this
clarify-
New
I should
York
clarify that.
pizza
It depends on the movie.
elitism. Oh, it's only.
I should clarify it does depend on the movie, but like, so I was going to talk about next episode. I'll still talk about more in depth next episode. But Tron.
But you saw a version
I saw
of
in
Oppenheimer,
IMAX 3D, and that was an experience because they did all the stuff in the grid, full screen,
So,
crazy,
so
like
don't,
all
so
sorts
don't
of
judge
visuals.
it or you
and
don't form an opinion.
and
unless you've seen
the
it in that
sound
format.
system was so loud. It was the loudest movie I've ever seen. It literally set off the noise alert on my Apple Watch that if I sit in that volume for too loud, it will hurt my ears. That's how loud it was. Normal theaters can't get that loud or bassy.
And you're saying like this or bust.
That's a good thing that blew out my ears. Yes, 100%. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, not
Yeah, I
every
might think
movie
about it
needs
some-
it, but movies that utilize it well are a notable difference. Yeah.
I mean, I guess so, but like I think it. I mean, sure, maybe I do have to like experience a movie that like is fully optimized for that. But to me, it's starting to sound more like, I guess the equivalent of like Yum Tobacco show, where like.
But with the beauty of A-list,
the cost and
it's all the
difference and
same.
effort to watch those, like,
But there is
doesn't
no
feel
difference of
worth
cost
it. Where
for
I could
you
just.
anymore.
Well, kind of like there's a cost for time. Like the AMC Norwalk and Cinemark are like right there. Like it's really hard for me to not value like a 10-minute drive to go watch a movie, than go to downtown LA at LA Live. I don't even know that's where I would go for
No,
a
it's at
true
Century
IMAX.
City. It's over by me.
Then I guess unless I'm coming from work, I don't know. I feel like it'd be hard to justify driving all the way to Century City just for a movie.
I
So
saw
anyway,
Mission Impossible
Chainsaw
at the
Man.
Irvine. I saw Mission Impossible at the Irvine Spectrum and was blown away.
Yeah, I saw Dark Knight in IMAX at the Irvine Spectrum in 2008, and I saw Dark Knight 3 times in theaters, different form,
Jesus.
and that's the one time I saw it in IMAX, and it was notably cooler just to have it be that big. Yeah, for movies where
Okay,
it makes
well-
sense, it's great.
I feel like that's to be two things. One, definitely next time there is a movie that quote unquote makes sense that is an
Spider-Verse.
option for this, let's definitely watch. I was gonna say like, and I think it also has to be a movie that I'm generally interested in.
We saw-
because if we watched like say a Fast and the Furious in like the top of the line IMAX, I probably wouldn't get much out of it.
Oh, you don't need
Sure.
it for Fast and Furious. You need it for something like Tron with the visuals, or you need it for something like,
Or maybe
the
not
sound
Tron.
design.
Because
Maybe
Well,
especially
Tron's
who
not-
cares.
But
hey, here's spoiler alert for next episode. As an
it was
audio
posted on
visual
this.
experience, the grid parts of Tron Ares were amazing. As a movie with a story, but as an audio visual thing, it was cool. Yeah, no, it depends on the movie. Yeah, like Civil War, the movie Civil War used the sound design of like the IMAX speaker system and Dolby Atmos as well, quite well.
Don't even get me
effective.
started on
It depends on the
sound.
movie.
As something that like I feel I would not be able to appreciate. I feel like I have to, I don't know, practice or at least like be exposed to more things that you.
So Civil War did it well because they had one extremely loud
I mean, I know-
shotgun shot that felt
I know
like
you're
a
not
real
a-
shotgun shot.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
No, but I mean it had
Well-
good sound design, but that in particular was like it stuck with me. Like, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that until I hear it. But yeah, I mean, I know you wouldn't consider yourself an audiophile, but I know you also do. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you try to optimize your auditory experience whenever you can. Like,
it's what I say all the time, guys. I'm gonna go optimize my auditory experience. Yeah,
like, for the most part,
that's how I
like,
talk. Yeah.
like the only reason I have the headphones I have, They're like Bowers branded headphones. Was because they were recommended to me by a friend that is very much an audiophile. And yeah, like they sound good, but like I've also had other headphones that I felt sounded good. It's like their bass make it sound good. I don't know, sometimes it does feel like the case, but I guess there's also clarity or crispiness or whatever.
Exactly. That's the beauty of the sound system in the higher premium formats like IMAX or Dolby Atmos,
Yeah,
Dolby
but
Cinema, is the crispness and the range of how bassy it can get and how
I do have to see
without sounding muddy.
Because like I feel like the movies I have seen, or at the very, regularly right now, like all have had sound systems that I thought were good. Like, were they bad? I don't know.
No.
Like everything sounded crisp and clear.
But imagine
They had
it's less
The only time
standard
a
definition to
gunshot
high
felt impactful was
definition.
when the pistons on the back of my head were like hitting me. But
It's less standard def to high def. It's more high def to 4K in terms of the jump. Like you'll notice it, whenever TV went from like a standard definition TV to an HD TV, you're like, whoa. And then when you went from HD to 4K, you're like, whoa. But like, it's not like it was bad before, but okay, it's a little better. That is kind of the leap here, I would say.
But when everything is 4K, nothing is.
Then you go to 8K and 16K.
Yeah.
So Chainsaw Man,
anyway,
the movie
Chainsaw
Reze
Man.
arc takes place after the Chainsaw Man season 1 ending.
Was there more to that thought, or was that it?
That's it. That's the objective review of this movie. It literally takes place after season 1 of Chainsaw Man.
Did you enjoy what took place after season 1?
What's going on?
That's the longest dead air we've had from laughing that I can ever recall. That was
God
like
damn
20
it.
seconds.
So anyways, Chainsaw Man, the movie Reze arc. I loved it. Angel is not a big of Chainsaw Man fan as I am. As overall the property, Angel, what did you think?
Had really awesome action. The action was top notch.
I don't know what
Very,
more
very-
else there's to say.
Actually,
I mean,
Yeah, I guess if anything, like I think for what was going on in the fight, the fact that I would say it was mostly readable the whole time is really impressive. Because I feel like there were even some parts after the Demon Slayer movie twice where there were a couple instances where it just kind of was like a jumble of slashes, and I'm just like I kind of like lost track of like a character, kind of like kind of like 8-player Smash. It's just like a couple moments where you just forget where you are. But I feel like I didn't
Thank
really
you
have
for
that
putting
problem.
it in terms I understood. Thank you for Jasonifying it.
Yeah, or
Smash
like
Bros.
any Michael Bay Transformers fist fight. But yeah, I feel like I didn't really have that problem in Chainsaw Man, which was appreciated for how fast things are moving.
yeah. A little bit more in depth, obviously. Chainsaw Man, the movie Reze arc, adapts the titular Reze arc in Chainsaw Man that takes place right after the series is over. Not the series, I'm sorry, season 1 of the anime. That came back that released back in 2022, tail end of 2022, because that's when we did our
Anime sampler.
anime sampler. Yeah, perfect. What a
What up those plugs?
beautiful name.
Thank you. Thank you.
Basically, it follows the main character Denji as he meets this girl Reze, who sort of starts a love triangle between him, her, and Miss Makima, who he's been in love with since episode 1 of the anime. Story goes to shit once this new enemy called the Bomb Devil gets introduced. And that is the movie in a nutshell. Everything that leads up to the Bomb Devil's introduction, I think is... Obviously, I'm biased it's really well done. I like the romance between Denji and Reze. The animation is beautiful. This movie has a different art style from the series. Jason, the way that you talked about Chainsaw Man.
If you hadn't said that, I wouldn't have noticed. Was it that different?
Yes,
I can. Like a couple
I can.
Ago.
You're insane. Like you and your brother are blind to things like this.
I need to look at it side by side. But see, more reason why I feel like a bigger screen won't make a difference. I know this is
maybe you and your brother are just lost causes because Jesus Christ, there's a considerable change in the art style. Everybody pretty much came back from the production with the exception of the director of season 1. That's because season 1 went for a more realistic look. Like Jason, you said that out of all the anime that we watched back when we did that sampler, that Chainsaw Man felt like the most prestige TV.
Yes,
which can be felt in the art style and the directing of that, especially that first episode. It's very much in line with a more realistic look. Like they definitely made the characters have a more realistic, less cartoony look to them, especially like when it came to like facial expressions and stuff like that.
Literally looking at like side by side, and
the
they're basically identical. The only difference is just like they
you're insane.
They toned it down on the shading. That's like all they did.
You're insane. Like absolutely insane. I'm gonna show it to Jason, and Jason's absolutely gonna see a difference in it. But
yes,
look at the characters. Look at the characters' faces. Look at how they're drawn.
Angel, you think these are the same?
They look.
One looks like a sketch compared to the other.
Correct.
Of.
And okay, so Jason, the one on the left is the movie, which obviously has a little bit is like you said, it's more of a sketch. It's a little bit more crude than the series, which is on the right.
That's interesting because usually when like American cartoons could become a movie, the Simpsons movie, which is getting a sequel, the Bob's Burger movie, they add the shading. Like the left image for those listening is very flat and kind of looks very like sketchy, and
it's
the
like
right one has
No, keep going.
I was just saying the right one has like lighting effects added to the drawing essentially.
Yeah, it's like that picture of Peter Griffin, right, where it's like the TV show version versus the movie version.
That's basically what I said, and why that doesn't seem like that big of a difference to me. And then I guess that's just
look at literally anything but just this, Angel. Angel, also, by the way, he's covered. Like, there is no sunlight. Of course, there's not going to be any shading on the left picture.
All the examples that the website gives me are all basically the same thing. Like, the characters are all like just like have a.
We'll talk about that after the podcast. But pretty much everybody showed up, and the whole reason the difference in art style is because in Japan, at least, the art style is very controversial. It actually drove the director out of the anime business.
I think my point to this was that it didn't make any difference as far as like enjoyment or like or dislike. Like, I guess I just enjoy how they both looked. That I just went with it.
Yeah, with that, there's nothing wrong. But to say that like you see no difference, I'm
being a little facetious, but like it's like it doesn't feel like enough. Well, this is also like probably bad to go off of just these images, but just like from memory, like I'm like, yeah, it feels like there's I feel there's like a difference when I watch a movie and a show, but I couldn't. I don't know. It just feels like maybe like a more budgety look. I mean, like they have more budget. I don't know.
It's the opposite where it looks like they have less budget. As far as the art style is considered.
It definitely does. It looks lower budget.
Obviously, the movie has a bigger budget because what they do in the movie is far more insane with what they do in the show. And the show is still like very like I like how the show looks.
Because like when I was thinking about art style, like I definitely wasn't thinking about just how a static images looks. Like I was just kind of taking it all in, encompassing with the motion and the way this movie was animated definitely felt like it had a bigger budget.
Yeah, in terms of that stuff, this obviously has a much bigger budget. There's not a lot that I can say about this movie without spoiling it, but I mean, if you watch any of the trailers, it's pretty much spoiled. So I'll just leave it. At that.
Don't watch the trailers.
I love this movie. I want to see it again, and I want to see it in Dolby Vision to see if the colors pop. Because if there's one thing that the show was lacking, it was color. And I mean, they saturate the hell out of this movie, which is very fitting for Chainsaw Man as a property. That was more of a discussion about IMAX and ourselves.
Yeah, I feel like I was, and I kept saying like, "Oh, I have my Tron impressions next episode." I said the whole impressions. The movie's whatever, but the visuals are
you did?
Cool. So yeah, when we were talking about IMAX, and I was saying, yeah, so there are my Tron impressions. Yay!
Okay. Just repeat them. We'll pretend you didn't say it.
Okay, next episode. Tune in and hear them.
Sure.
Yeah, is that it for this one? I know.
A new tidbit to throw in.
Yeah, I'll think of something more in depth. Yeah. But that next episode is right around the corner. It's next week. So for the listeners out there, we what?
It is?
Yeah, you and I went over this the other night. Yeah, we all did. Okay, maybe it's not next week. We'll see when it is. But the original idea was we were just shoving this episode in between the usual episodes, kind of, because we were using your lapsed episode from when I was gone last time. Anyway, to figure out when the next episode is, as a listener, subscribe on your podcast app, and it will appear when it eventually shows up. Also, you could, so if it's Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, what have you, YouTube, @Ram Nintendo, whatever it is, when the episode arrives, you'll know because it will be there. And you can also follow us on Twitter to get alerts of when the episode will be. But besides that, I think that does it for this episode. Angel, do you want to save Sunny for next time?
Yeah.
All right, there's a tease. Do you out there, listeners, want to hear our thoughts on a season of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia that ended 2 months ago? Wait a couple more weeks.
And that's a tease.
Yeah, that is a tease right there. But yeah, in the meantime, if you want to hear our thoughts on other stuff, we are on the socials, so you can find us on various platforms. I'm on Threads and Twitter @JSR7. Kevin is KVN Gomi on Twitter and Blue Sky. Angel is World of Weros with an S on the end over on the Instagram. And I think that does it. It's good to be back podcasting. And I will turn the final word over to Kevin.
No, give it to Angel because he pissed me off.
Oh, Angel.
That's it. I already stopped it.